To dice an onion, all you need is an 8 or 10-inch chef's knife, a paring knife, a clean cutting board, and, of course, an onion. Get to know your onion. The root end has a bumpy disc of small fibers. To keep the onion from falling apart while you're working on it, we're going to leave the root end mostly intact. The stem end sticks out more to a point. Throughout this demo, we'll remind you to use proper knife technique, and be sure to use gloves when preparing ready-to-eat foods. With your blade flush against your guide fingers, grip the onion with the claw position. Start at the stem end and trim off just enough to give yourself a nice, flat surface. Next, trim off the fibers on the root end, but leave the rest of the root intact. Notice that only the fibers of the root have been removed. The rest of the root end will hold the onion together until it's diced. By the way, a sharp knife will cut more cleanly through the onion, releasing fewer of the vapors which cause your eyes to tear up. Remove the outer skin. Make it your habit to work as cleanly as possible. Remove all unwanted scraps before they get in your way. Stand the onion on end and cut it in half from pole to pole. Notice the position of the guide hand. Dicing is a 3-step process. First, place an onion half on the board, cut side down. Keep the stem end toward you and the root end away from you. Remember, never let your knife wobble from side to side. Keep the blade perfectly straight, with your knife hand making a rotating, circular motion as it cuts. Use the claw position to guide your knife, and make a series of vertical cuts. Remember, don't cut through the root end. Instead, take the cut about 80% of the way back. As you cut, drag your guide finger slowly and steadily backward across the onion. Your guide fingers will guide the blade. Be sure to space the cuts evenly. Narrower cuts will produce smaller dice. Next, rotate the stem end of the onion 1/4 turn toward your knife blade. With your guide hand on top, make a horizontal cut. Again, remember to leave the root end intact. For smaller dice, or for larger onions, you can make up to 5 horizontal cuts. To finish up, place your guide hand back on top of the onion in the claw position. Cut straight across the front of the onion. Again, keep the blade flush against your guide fingers as you cut, and the onion dice will fall easily onto your cutting board. Keep in mind that this process is the same for red onions as well. Take the last bit of the root and make a rough chop, or save it to flavor stocks or sauces. Now your onion is diced and ready to use.